Are y'all ready? Tom T. Moore is an award-winning author, speaker, and entertainment industry CEO. He considers himself a telepath and recently had a new TV series based on his books on a Roku TV channel titled The Telepathic World of Tom T. Moore. That sounds good alone. You want me to read the rest of it? No. Tom has published 5 books, including the 3 Gentle Way series, and was voted Best Self-Help Author for the last 3 years by Health and Happiness magazine. His latest books are Atlantis and Lemuria, The Lost Continents Revealed, and First Contact, Conversations with an E.T. He has a free weekly newsletter and blog, all archived on his website at www.thegentlewaybook.com. Let us just have everybody give Tom a warm Satori welcome, and let's get him up here.
How are we doing? Okay. Good. Okay. Yes. Gosh, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Especially, I'm going to get into telepathy, and my publisher is the same people that does the Sedona Journal of Emergence. Okay, and the lady that publishes the Sedona Journal and also publishes my books, her name is Melody Swanson. And Melody told me a while back, probably 2, 3, or 4 years or more, that she said, well, you're not a channel. You ask your own questions. In other words, I don't step away and let someone else come in. I simply put myself into what I call an alpha state, a meditative state, sort of like in between when you're just waking up from a dream. That's sort of the area that you have to be in, and writing your dreams down every morning helps you get used to that. And so that's where I do it. And so I started thinking, well, I know I'm not a channel. I've never claimed to be a channel. And so you sort of have to have some challenges in life. You have to have people that put something in front of you that you sort of have to climb over or analyze yourself. And I started thinking about it. And I started asking questions in what I call my active meditations. And I started reading more. And I finally figured out that I'm just a self-trained telepath. And when I discovered that I could do this, it's like learning a new language. I mean, you pick up a little bit at a time, and you keep working on it, and keep practicing, and and eventually you get better and better at it. And I knew, it's like my soul contract, I found out. I knew I was supposed to be doing this, and I was supposed to be putting out the information that I received. And recently, I don't think it's in this newsletter yet, probably next week or whatever, I have so many questions that kind of backs up a little bit at times, that people send me in from all over the world, and I ask questions too. And so I've found out that, and have been told, that fully 50% of what I've already received, all these thousands of questions I've been asking already, are not for this time period, but for future time periods, because a lot of people will not know who I am until later. And so that'll sort of be my legacy, that people will put together books and things like that after I've transitioned and discuss the things that I receive that are sometimes, if any of you have been subscribing to my newsletter along the way, know that I really get into a lot of different subjects. So that's what I am. But we're all telepaths, you know. Every single one of you is a telepath. And the reason is we all have the pineal gland in the back of our heads. And that's where we receive what we call ESP, or what we call reading your mind. It's when like two people that have been married a long time say, oh, I thought of that first. No, I thought of that first, you know. And it's all telepathy, but everybody calls it different names, okay? And that's why it kind of gets put down, because when you say telepathy, gosh, I mean, that sounds really kind of weird. So, but that's what we all have, these receptors in the back of our heads, and that's how we receive not only messages from each other and from our loved ones, and but even psychic messages, and you know, even messages from the Creator that are called inspiration. That could be inspiration from, you know, like a guardian angel, or it can be inspiration from the deity that you believe is the creator of this universe. So it's simple, yet a lot of people reject that. So I just want to let you know that I'm not trying to claim a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not. I certainly have a long way to go. I certainly, I feel like I'm up in the 80 or 90% reception, but there are times that I just don't receive the correct message, and I've been told it can be because I'm tired. You know, really, I have a business that I have to run at the same time, so I'm like a proverbial one-armed paper hanger. And now we have a new grandbaby that's 9 months old that we get to take care of too. So we shove that in. That's why my wife is under the weather. So now she got a call from our grandbaby. And so we have all these things going on, and I put out this newsletter 52 weeks a year since 2007. So I feel like that's my soul purpose, that's my soul path, that's my soul contract to do this. And when I get it wrong, that's the way it goes. I've also been told that there are times when there are planetary influences. As an example, I know a friend of mine, Robert Shapiro, who has a column in the Sedona Journal every month and has written 30 or 40 books now. And Robert will not channel during certain times of the month. And when I asked about this, I was told, no, Tom, we want you to not worry about that. We want you to do this all the time. And don't worry about where the moon is, or where Uranus or is squaring whatever. You know, this is what we want you to do. So that's how it works. And so far, scientists have only figured out, and for a while they didn't even know what it did, okay? But now they know that it releases melatonin. But that's all they've been able to figure out. And in telepathy, one of the great things about telepathy is that, like when the Ryan Institute did their experiments for ESP, okay? They had a person sitting at a desk here. You can Google it. You can Google images, and you'll see these black and white photographs. They had a person sitting here and a person sitting there, and there was a board in between them. And the person over here would have these cards. They're called the Zinner cards, and there would be like squares or triangles or wavy lines or whatever, and they would have to try and send it. The problem is, of course, they just drag somebody off the street and try and get them connected. So they had a very uneven reception. Had they had like twins work together, or man and wife that had been working together for a long time, or whatever, they would have had, or even two people that didn't know each other, but let them work together for 6 months or a year or something like that, they would have had much better success. Because when you go, I found that the best way is to go into this light meditative state, and that's where you can receive these messages, okay? The easiest. And one of the things that I am suggesting, and it may not happen, but I'm saying, if you recall, there was a twin that went up on the International Space Station, and the twin down below, they wanted see how the difference of space affected one as compared to the other. My suggestion is, on the Mars mission, why not have at least 2, but hopefully 3 or 4 sets of telepaths? Because in telepathy, they will find that it doesn't matter whether you're just across the room from each other, across campus, across the world, or across the universe. Telepathy is instantaneous. Instantaneous. Okay? So this is great because if anybody saw the Martian movie with, what was the guy's name?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, thank you. When they had the movie with Matt Damon, if you notice, they got into trouble because there was such a time difference on trying to communicate the fact that he was in trouble. Okay, with telepathy, they would know instantly, and hopefully that would cut down the time that some type of rescue effort could be made or whatever needed to be done. That word would get back. So I really recommend that they consider having telepathy as one of their experiments on the Mars mission. Speaking of the Mars mission, I'll just throw this in. In this past newsletter this week, I was asking, one of the things I found out within the last month or 2 was that the guys are going to discover caves and caverns on Mars. And instead of having to have these very, very expensive modules and everything out in the middle of the desert of Mars, they will discover that putting these structures and all inside a cave or cavern system is much better because it'll be less harsh. There won't be the sun and all this. There will probably be a lesser difference in degrees. And in this newsletter, I started asking, well, are they going to be able to find, maybe deeper in the cavern, enough oxygen that they'd be able to live that way? And I was told no, they will have to have machines to make the oxygen, but what they're going to be able to do is using local materials, they will be able to wall up these entrances and have like airlocks, and that's where they will live on Mars and be able to do whatever they're going to do using the cave system on Mars. So that's something that I won't get to see, but hopefully some of you in this audience will maybe see in the next 25, 40 years or something like that. What is the difference between extrasensory perception and intuition? And I personally feel that they both use the pineal gland, okay? And they're sort of like, in the same game and everything. And again, there's all these different words to describe. I feel like I need to call, my Uncle my Uncle Harry. And you pick up the phone and you call Harry and he says, oh yeah, I'm going in the hospital tomorrow or whatever. I mean, these things you're picking up and I really feel it's all part of it. And I'm sure we're going to learn a lot more about that I know right now, because again, this is sort of, these conclusions that I've been making have been more like in the last 6 months or so, and I'm sure I have more questions to ask on that subject. And that's how it's called fill in the gap questions, because you ask a question and you get an answer and then you say, oh, then I need to ask this, and then I need to ask that. So it just keeps on going on. I've been told that the information that I've received so far is like the tip, hardly the tip of an iceberg. That there's going to be so much more information to learn, and we just have to keep asking questions. Put yourself into a little bit more of that alpha state, to drop yourself into a sort of meditative state, and also surround yourself. This is one thing for anybody that wants to start trying this stuff. Surround yourself with white light. There are these negative spirits. I've asked recently, are these negative spirits, are they negative souls? No, they don't. They don't have souls.
but they're these negative spirits that Theo just doesn't like. He says they're such pests, and they're having to shoo them away all the time. And so you've got to surround yourself with white light, and that will protect you. So be sure to do that anytime that you're wanting to meditate. Don't want to have problems. Yes?
What's the difference between asking for white light and gold light?
White light and what?
Gold light, golden light.
I was told white light is the purest. Now, when I meditate, I mean, just for extra added protection, it makes me feel good. Maybe it doesn't make any difference. But when I'm going into my meditative state, I'll say, okay, I'm sending out white light from my heart chakra and let it completely surround my body with a bubble of white light, 360 degrees, up, down, all around. And that's on one breath. And then on the next breath, as I breathe in white light from the central sun halcyon through my crown chakra, I now send out gold light to form an extra bubble of protection on the outside of the white bubble, and that it does not interfere. And now I ask and I demand that only those of a higher vibration than I am, or the same vibration of I am, may contact me and communicate with me today. Thank you. And then I say, for anyone else, I send you lots of white light in all directions.
I got a third point.
So, very good, everybody. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate